Dear Clash Guards, I confess my emotions have been a mess. Cause you changed everything we ever knew. From witches to poison and the Queen walked too. Whoa, I've been wrong, I was wrong. Been a town hall night, way too long. Getting hogs and Valkyries. I'll push that button and believe in you again.
Welcome to episode 109 of Pineapples and Thorns. I'm Kat, and in the virtual studio with me today is the one and only CallMeTee. Hey T, how's it going?
Hello, Kat. It's certainly a news-filled weekend that we've got going on, so I think this episode's going to be a fun one.
It's, fun and potentially longer than normal. So let's get into it. We have no CFF news this week. However, a little tidbit, I have heard that we have an MVP with us today. I wonder who that could be.
Oh, I don't know. For the first time in history, I think Yoda is regretting the fact that he has to announce the MVP in his Sons of Guns announcements. So, how did your CWL go, Kat? How did everything shape up for you guys?
It was actually a lot of fun. We skipped doing CWL in both the Rated and RedThorn. We weren't sure when the update was going to drop, so we thought, let's take a more relaxed week for June, and we just got everybody together in a couple of our lower level clans and promoted TGF Rising to Champs 3.
Nice.
They just crushed it over there, and a couple of the other clans we promoted up. So it was a lot of fun. It was low pressure, low stress. How about you guys?
We did the opposite. We ran all our normal clans, and Sons of Guns in Champs 1, we ended up demoting by 2 stars, which was really rough. And we got one of I think they're like the number 8 clan in the world or something like that. Like we got some insane clan that they legitimately didn't run defensive CCs and just like pretty much were 43 stars or higher per war, and we're just like, yeah, go ahead. Beat us if you can. We don't care. And like just absolutely demolished everybody. I put up my best CWL performance, I think, of all time. I perfected the week rather, and that's our little illusion. Yoda says that I'm never gonna let him forget that I got MVP in Champs 1, which is probably correct. No, but we did our best. Like, we didn't actually do poorly. We had one War 5, we tied our opponent exactly, stars and percents. And if that had gone our way, we would have stayed in Champs 1 and been fine. Mm-hmm. And so there's just like a bunch of little things where it's like, over the course of 7 wars and 15 attacks, to lose like maintenance by 2 stars is just crazy. So, it's like we had a couple of attacks go, where we had like, I think somebody had like a 98% 1 star or something like that. Like we had a couple of those little random ones, but overall, I don't regret us running it. Like, in my opinion, Sons of Guns, we have not been able to maintain Champs 1 for like extended periods. And I don't want to be like the type of clan that's like, oh, we have a Champs 1 clan and we don't play it ever because we're afraid to demote. So like, I'm proud of us. Like, we tried. And like for you guys, I think if we had been able to be in Champs 1 kind of like all of Town Hall 17, then maybe we would have taken this month off to be like, we don't, like, the future is unpredictable. We don't know what's happening, and we don't want to lose our Champs 1 because like the whole game balance breaks and weird stuff happens. So
that's never happened before.
Right. 100%. It's never been the case. So for us, we were just like, look, let's do our best. If Supercell releases the update mid CWL, we'll try and pivot. And one way or another, like, we kind of knew that we weren't going into Champs 1 going to be the number 1 clan in our group. I don't think we're quite there yet, but it's funny how like each time we get to Champs 1, we do better and better and better. And so I think, this next month we're going to be in Champs 2. I think we're going to crush it. And then hopefully By August, we're back in Champs 1, and I think we're going to be able to maintain from there and have like a really good core group of people. So yeah, it's been an interesting week.
Well, it's a huge learning curve because the game is quite different up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
the difference between Champs 2 and Champs 1 is absolutely crazy. Like, I didn't think that it was going to be that much different the first time that I was in Champs 1, a couple years ago or whatever. But every time I get into Champs 1, I'm like, oh, no, no, no. These clans are taking things serious. Like, their bases are better. The attacks are better. Like, I don't think a single clan other than the clan that was in last place, their last war, they only put up like 20-something stars or whatever because they knew it didn't really matter for their positioning. But every other war, it was like 39 stars was the bare minimum. Like, if you put up 39 stars, you lost. So everyone else was putting up between 40 and 45. And that's like kind of crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
a little too crazy for my blood.
that's fair.
So there's a little bit of Clash news. Clash Worlds is in Atlanta this year. They're going to be at DreamHack Atlanta, which it runs October 31st to November 2nd. And for anybody that's interested, full details are in game under the esports tab. So I know I've heard a few people in our circle that are going or thinking about going. So if you're in that area, maybe check in the CFF server to see if anybody from there is going. So I can't remember the last time it was actually in the United States. So
there was, I think, like right after the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
There was something in California, but otherwise I'm not sure either. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty rare.
It is. It's few and far between. All right. Let's briefly touch on the June event before we dive into what everybody really wants us to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no clue. It's a mystery to me.
Yep.
So it was the Dark Deal event. They gave us a new piece of epic equipment for the Minion Prince, the Dark Crown. Boosts health and damage a total of 3 times when allies are defeated. You are the Minion Prince expert. Is it good for people to invest ore on this? Yes or no?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is it's one of those after you've gotten your initial setup done. So 2 pieces of equipment max for each of the heroes that you're using. Your main epic equipment's done. Once you're in that kind of little limbo state where you're looking to add versatility and an extra little oomph, I think the Dark Crown has a place that it is technically better than the Henchman Puppet. I think it gives you a little more leeway in your air-based attacks, but it's not so much better than the Henchman Puppet that you need to do it immediately. So it's kind of disappointing, honestly. I think they could probably reduce the housing requirements significantly to see this have a little more use without actually adjusting the stats, because the stat increases on this thing are just crazy. It's just that by the time the full 3rd stage comes online, you've either won or lost the attack already, and it's too late to really change. It's too late for the equipment to really change the results. So if it came on a little earlier, I think it would be still fair. I don't think it would be overpowered, and I think it would be more easily recommendable. I do think that it is ultimately better than the Henchman Puppet for most attacks, aside from like the bases where you have to attack a bunch of single infernos, because the Henchman Puppet is kind of great for that. But overall, I give this one like a pass for now for anyone who's new, and a pick it up when you feel like it for anyone who's kind of at that max level looking to add extra options.
Okay, so it's definitely not you must use this because it's meta.
Right. I mean, we're still evolving, and there's always this kind of nebulous space right after an equipment releases where we're not 100% sure how to use it. This one is fairly simple because it's basically just a stat stick. So it's not like there's some complicated tech necessarily, except like maybe someone figures out a way to activate it early, or another, someone with like a recall spell or a revive, or who knows, right? Like there might be some tech that we're missing that makes this thing busted. But as it stands right now, I think it's solid. It's like a B plus, right? and the henchman puppet is probably a B. So it's like, do you need this? No. Is it a waste of your ore? Also no. Is it something that you need to do in the first 10 equipment that you max? Definitely not. So, do with that what you will.
Fair enough. All right, let's just dive right into the big news item.
Oh, you're gonna go right past the debt collector.
There's no point even talking about the debt collector. It's too squishy.
Here, this is the only thing that I will say about the debt collector. During matchmaking, if you see a progress base, the debt collector is your best friend, and it's great.
Okay, you want to talk about the debt collector.
That's all I wanted to say. The progress base and the debt collector, great. And Supercell, I keep saying, just hire me as a contractor, because the thing that the debt collector is missing is a little highlight at the end of the attack that says this is how much the debt collector generated, because that would be so much cooler, and you would actually know what it was doing, and people would be like, oh cool, it got me another 1,000,000 resources or whatever. Like, come on, like that's just like rookie errors, like show us the good stuff, and that's it. I'm done.
You're done. Okay, all right, let's talk about this crazy update that we're getting potentially on Monday, in theory. Barring any disasters. We've got some sneak peeks that started dropping. Rumor mills are blowing up.
Yeah, swirling, as it were.
People are like panicking, mass chaos. Let's see. So we're getting a new spell.
Yep.
The ice block. It freezes your own troops and heroes, which at first you're like, what? They won't move or attack while under the spell's effect, but they also take I think it was 6% damage that they take, like compared to, it's protecting you to 94%. I can't even talk. I'm so excited about this. It unlocks at Dark Spell Factory level 7, takes 1 housing space, and it releases with 5 levels, starting at Town Hall 14 all the way up to 17. And each upgrade, of course, gives more protection from incoming damage. What are your thoughts on this thing?
So they're giving us Carbonite for Han Solo. I see. This is one of those ones where it's going to be like pro level players are going to use this, and it's going to blow everybody's mind, and everybody's going to think it's like busted, and then you're going to try it in your own attacks and be like, why doesn't this do anything? Is my opinion, but
everything died. What happened?
Right. So I think specifically to my case, I think there are a couple instances where this is like, again, I don't know. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this spell, because I can't imagine a situation where a freeze spell wouldn't be better for me. Because every time I think about it, I'm like, okay, so when would I want to save a troop, a hero, a component of the army, or whatever? It's like, okay, I missed my funnel, right? My Archer Queen swerved, or my RC pivoted, or my dragons are splitting, or something like that, right? I've made an error, and this is a spell that's going to prevent the mistake necessarily, right? So like that's something like, oh, I'm going to go into an area with a raged up set of really powerful defenses. Well, a freeze would probably work just as well there. And it wouldn't do this weird pathing thing. Like the thing that I think I'm struggling the most with is if you use this spell so that you can course correct or deploy other troops to like handle whatever the problem is. Well, when the troops come out of the ice block, they're going to do something completely unpredictable, most likely. Like, and again, I think pros are going to be able to use this spell, and we're going to be like, what? But I don't know. Like, would you want to use this on an RC as opposed to just using invisibility, as opposed to freezing? Like, I think this is one of those spells, kind of like the revive, where it's like, yeah, technically you can use it, but is it going to be the optimal or easiest or most obvious thing? I don't know. It's weird. What about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be very specific types of players that are able to use this effectively. I was just like, while you were talking, I was trying to think, like, in what situation could I see it being used? Well, maybe if you sent in some kind of a Yeti blimp and you were really good at timing your spells, and the blimp, they take out the town hall and you drop this freeze thing instantly to prevent the them from being killed by surrounding defenses. I don't know. But it seems like most people wouldn't be able to do that.
I was like I
Optimally.
was thinking like maybe you could blimp a golem into the middle of the base so that when the golem drops, it has like so much health that with this spell, it like lives forever basically, and all the defenses are targeting it. But even then, it's like, well, there's still the issue of range, and not everything is going to be in range of the golem, so it's not going to tank everything. Like that's the little aspect that my brain keeps trying to tease apart, where it's like, okay, if I freeze a chunk of the base, I'm only freezing, this small little couple tile wide section. But if I have a unit that's being targeted by a bigger percentage of the base, and then I ice block the unit, like, is that better? And like, I'm trying to picture the base where that would be true. And I don't know that kind of base exists anymore, because we have like these little spread out like component based bases now. I like the old school, like where you used to see town hall in the middle, big gap, ring of defenses, big gap, and then like trash on the outside. I think like something like that, if you could get a golem like into that middle town hall section and then ice block it a bunch, and the whole ring is firing on it, that would be cool. But I just don't see those kinds of bases as much anymore.
No. And at Town Hall 17, what you're seeing is so many heavy defenses on the outside of the base to mess with your RC charges that, it's, what are you going to freeze? Like, I just see an overgrowth to me gets a little bit more value, even though it's an extra housing space.
I think this is one of those spells that it's going to go probably like 6 months before someone's like, oh, this is how you use it. And then all of a sudden everybody's going to be like, oh my God, this spell is amazing. Because I feel like there's got to be some sort of niche use case that we're not thinking of that somebody is going to figure out. But right now, to me, I think this is a little bit of a disappointment of...
I just
We'll
I'm having too much trouble wrapping my head around how to use it. So I'll wait for somebody who's much better at this game to figure it out and show me.
Yeah, I will say the fact that they're giving us 5 levels for a spell like this is a little... I don't want to be too mean, but like it's a little bit of garbage, because it's only really giving you the damage reduction when you upgrade, and the damage reduction is like the least important part of the spell. Like this, I don't know. It seems weird. Like, why? Also, they're gonna like blow up the balance at Town Hall 14 and 15 if this spell is even moderately useful, because one of the things that I always get frustrated with Supercell about is that, these older town halls are kind of like little bottles, right? They exist frozen in time, where the status of, the different troop levels, the defense levels, the hero levels, and now in Town Hall 14 Plus, the pet levels, all of it kind of it just like exists in this little glacially locked, sealed area. And then they start introducing things that didn't exist when Town Hall 14 was actively being developed. And then all of a sudden, those lower town halls just break. And you see it
100%.
It's funny. We have a bunch of people strategic rushing in the Sons of Guns family, obviously. And we laugh all the time, because as soon as they get to Town Hall 13 and they get their Royal Champion and the Electro Boots, we're like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. Just RC charge, because the Electro Boots in Town Hall 13 are so busted that like you could have a level 3 Royal Champion just demolishing half the base, and you're like, oh, this doesn't seem right. And I feel like this is the same sort of thing that Supercell keeps doing, and it's like these accidental own goals, where it's like, why would you do this all the way down to Town Hall 14 if the spell is
Don't
garbage?
Get me started.
Yeah, you have the Perma 14, right?
Perma 14, Perma 9, and this is probably a topic for a whole nother episode, but the balance at the lower town hall levels is just destroyed with everything that I understand people say, oh, give us content for the lower town hall, and then they do, but it's not really the kind of content that they should be giving, perhaps, with all the equipment and...
Yeah, and honestly, like with this spell being fairly it's not something that like everybody's like, ooh, I can't wait to use this. Everybody's kind of like, this is a puzzle piece that I'm looking to find in like a 1,000-piece puzzle that's
Mhm.
already mostly solved. And it's like, well, why would you give it to Town Hall 14 and higher? You're just getting more people frustrated that they don't know how to solve the puzzle. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
That's
it's like giving a kid a toy without any instructions on how to
yeah, like
put
a
it together.
disassembled toy, and you're just like, here, Timmy, have fun. And the kid just looks at you like, what is this? Like, what do you mean?
Once you put it together, you're gonna really enjoy it.
Yeah. And then you just like light the instructions on fire and you're like, it's part of the
Exactly.
fun.
All right, let's move on. With this update, according to Supercell, with another update comes another slew of stuff that gets even more awesome.
Yeah, I feel like Supercell is just like try to, frame the narrative.
Town Hall 17, we're going to get new levels on the balloon, which means the rocket balloon and the druid get a new level. So, when regular troops get a new level, so do the corresponding super troops.
Mhm.
Frosty's getting 5 more levels, and you get all the remaining wall pieces. I think there's 18.
I think there was like 75 or something left. The
Uh,
it's level, yeah, they're level 18 walls.
oh, yeah. Okay, I misread that. Sorry. Uh, it's
I mean,
still
I know
early.
everybody's so excited about their walls that everybody is just counting the days until they can have them completely
Oh,
maxed.
I know. I know. Somebody in RedThorn was just saying, I'm just about finished my walls. I said, don't worry, you're getting more next week. I think they
Yeah.
started crying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Let's see. At Town Hall 16, you're getting a new level on the Lava Hound.
Mhm.
So the Ice Hound's going to get a new level. The Battle Blimp at Town Hall 15 is getting a new level. That's interesting.
I think there's only really 2 of these updates that actually intrigue me a little bit. Number 1, the Frosty getting 5 more levels when he's already being used extensively in ground and air
Hmm.
attacks. That's kind of cool. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not excited to do 40 more days of upgrades on him, but I mean, I don't have any other uses for my hero stuff right now, so maybe I'll book him. But yeah, like that's intriguing. I wonder what the stat increases will actually be. One of the things with Frosty that I'm seeing is that he can usually live through like one ricochet cannon,
Hmm.
but the second one usually kills him pretty quick. So if he gets a reasonable amount of extra health, that would be pretty nice. And for me, I think the second bit of info that's interesting is the battle blimp. I think we've all been speculating that the Eternal Tome rework is going to adjust down, so shall we say, the battle blimp's ability to do its job.
Yeah.
And if it gets like a reasonable amount of health here, I think you can kind of offset a little bit the tome rework. So I think one thing is you'll have to delay or alter the timing of when you deploy the blimp for sure.
Hmm.
But I think with like a little more health and a little bit of a delay, I think you can pretty much do the same kind of blimps that you used to do. I don't think there's going to be a massive change. Although I have heard rumors from other people that have access to tools and environments that I do not have that the tome rework is bigger than we may be thinking. But I think the blimp level and the frosty couple levels, those are the ones that really kind of intrigue me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely Frosty. I do use Frosty in my attacks, and I'm looking forward to getting some more levels on him.
Now, are you going to start using Lalo because there's a lava hound level and a
You
balloon
know what?
level?
I have well, I won't say never. I did on my Town Hall 9, I did a Queen
Hmm.
Charge Lalo once
Hmm.
and tripled, and that was the one and only time I did it. I was said, quit while you're ahead
Yeah, listen, a W is a W, you know?
and go back to ground.
Yeah, I
That's what I did.
actually, a funny story. In Town Hall 9, all I did was Queen Charge Lalo. That was it. That was the only attack I could do. I
Yeah.
never did any of the Golem attacks. I never did any of the Witch attacks. The only thing that I did in Town Hall 9 was Queen Charge Lalo. That was it.
It was hard back then.
You know what? It's funny how, for me, Queen Charge Lalo in Town Hall 9 wasn't difficult. but every other attack was. I would try like the go Weepe and all those other ground attacks, and I would get nothing. Like my attacks would just fail, and I was like, I don't understand. And then I was like, well, I don't want to do Queen Charge Lalo because everyone says it's hard. And then I started to do it, and I was like, wait, why does everyone say this is hard? But I still couldn't make any of the other attacks work. So everybody was like, oh, he's so good at Queen Charge Lalo, he must be good at these other attacks. I was like, nope, this is it. I got the one. Like,
One trick pony.
yeah, and that's every town hall. That's kind of how it's worked. It's like I've always wanted to be the kind of player who could look at a base and be like, oh, this is the perfect base for X attack, and then the next attack, you look at it and you're like, oh, this is the perfect kind of base for Y attack, and it's like you could switch between them. It's like, nah, my brain works. Like right now, I'm using dragons. I've been using dragons the whole time, regardless of like how people have felt, like if they're strong or weak or whatever. For a little while, I had thrown in some dragon riders to make it, the Hydra attack, but like this is it. I went perfect in Champs 1. It works. I'm not changing it, and I'm just cruising. That's it. You know what I mean? I got the one attack. So
yeah. Well, I think it is interesting what you say, because I do remember back in the olden days, being able to look at bases. I think up to about Town Hall 14, being able to read bases. Okay, this be better to do this type of attack on a base, like Town Hall 9, 10. You'd think, well, this is definitely better for some kind of a hog attack, or you need to use dragons on this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as more and more heavy defenses come into it with Town Hall 15, and Town Hall 15 in particular, the only thing that seemed to work was dragons. 16 was the no-brainer. You just did Root Rider Valks.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like now certain types of attacks are effective, and nobody has the time or energy to devote to trying to learn multiple attacks.
I think it's just one of those things, right? There's so many variables in a clash attack, right? Like the placement of the buildings, where you expect the traps to be, how many times you've seen a base like that before, because there's only certain numbers of like variations of how each part of the base can look, partly because we're space limited, partly because there's only so many buildings, and partly because there are not necessarily rules, but like guidelines of what is effective, period, in a defense. Like you don't want to just have a ricochet in a corner with no walls and nothing around it, right? Like that. There are definitely wrong answers in base building, right? So the thing that I've always struggled with is that, I mean, unless you have an infinite amount of time, I've always found that being a specialist with one attack means you've used that attack on so many different types of bases that, one, you're able to look at a base and see an entry point fairly quickly, and two, once you're doing the attack, when the inevitable thing goes wrong, you've done the attack enough times to be like, okay, here's how I pivot, here's the key. Like, for example, for my attack that I'm using right now, I'm doing the 3-clone Yeti Blimp dragon attack. And I'm specifically doing the 3-clone because oftentimes you don't get the type of base where the 4-clone gives you enough value to have taken all of your spell slots. So by removing a clone, I've added 3 freezes. And now because I've done this attack so many times, I can see, like, okay, my dragons are taking too long to get through this part of the base. That means I need to be more aggressive with my early freezes so that the dragons live longer. Or, oh, my RC split off and there's a single Inferno, and I know that if I freeze the single, I'm going to get a lot more value out of the RC. Or I missed my giant arrow and there's a sweeper and it's going to ruin the attack. I need to keep it freezed with all 3 of my freeze spells. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different components, and I've done them all and done them correctly and incorrectly enough to know how to do it in the actual attack. Whereas, okay, I've done my, I think we've mentioned this before. I always do my hits kind of late in CWL, partly because, just how the timing works, but also partly because I don't mind like hitting the bases that nobody else wants to hit. So oftentimes they're not ideal for my attack strategy, and this sometimes bites me in the butt. But a lot of times it also means that I've gotten experience forcing the attack to work on bases where it technically shouldn't be as good. And I think one of those things that's good for that is like I have so much comfort and experience with this attack that I know how to adjust my funnel. I know how to adjust all the components, and that like if I had switched to a different attack that was technically better for that type of base, I wouldn't have that level of execution effectiveness. So like I don't know, it's weird that I always see people talk on Reddit where they're like, oh, this troop is getting a new level, that means this is going to be meta, and it's like, yeah, maybe.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I really don't think we'll see a return to like Queen Charge Lalo or
Yeah.
Lalo of any sort that's a major impact on the game. I know in his video today, Itsu did a Lalo attack and he managed to squeak out a triple with it. And he says, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, if Itsu's saying he doesn't know, then listen, if you're not Itsu or a professional, I've always said, okay, so Town Hall 9, I did a lot of Queen Charge Lalo. I never did Queen Charge Lalo ever again after Town Hall 9 because it just got to the point where it was like, okay, in Town Hall 10, they introduced the Infernos, and if there were single Infernos, your Lava Hounds got murdered. And if they were multi-Infernos, your Lava Loons, or your, I can't speak
Balloons.
either, your balloons were getting murdered. So it was like, all of a sudden, it was like, well, why would I do this when Queen Charge Miners gets me the same Queen Charge skills that I was using in Town Hall 9, and Miners are better because I'm using heals, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know. It was like this constant back and forth of, like, should I spread my time and practice out onto multiple different attacks, or should I just focus? And I think releasing these troop levels specifically 6 months into Town Hall 17, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the Druid level brings the Druid back into the meta because that was a very strong troop for a fairly extended period of time. But I don't think that the Hound or Balloon levels are really gonna mean anything. Although, people do the Fireball Rocket Loon attack, and so getting a level there is going to give you probably a couple percentage points or a couple seconds of time buffer that you didn't have before. So that might be nice, but otherwise, I think these are I think I'm excited to see Frosty, even though I don't want to upgrade him. Otherwise, I think this is kind of like a bit of a wash.
Yeah. Okay. So we mentioned also some of the balance changes incoming. The Eternal Tome balance change. There's also a bit of a balance change on the Ice Hound. People can look at the details in the patch notes. One notable change that they gave us in the first sneak peek was they're going to have 2v2 and 3v3 friendly wars now, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's going to be real fun in CFF. I think that opens the door to all kinds of very silly, very fun types of internal events, and all kinds of trash talking, and and I don't know. I think that is actually probably of sneak peek number 1, which we will continue to talk about sneak peek number 2, but of sneak peek number 1, I think this is actually shockingly the thing that I'm like most excited and or positive about. Is like, that's awesome. Like, just having more types of things like this is great. Just that's full 100% W from Supercell. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. That popped out at me when I was reading through their notes immediately. It's like I was just, all these possibilities popped into my head, and I think that is a long time coming, and gold star on that one.
Immediately I'm like, oh, we should do like a big brother, little brother, or like a big sibling, little sibling kind of event where you have like a max player and someone who's like below Town Hall 10. And it's like the max player doesn't get to attack, and the 2 lower town halls have to try and attack the max base. Like that, I don't know. There's just so many silly little things that like I'm thinking of that we could run. So all those things are great.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. quality of life change. You can go back to rearranging your troops again. We used to be able to do that. You could like drag your troops to different orders, and
Well,
it kind of
back in the
disappeared.
day, you used to have to train them in order.
Well, that too. But now you can just rearrange them.
Yeah.
And you can also rearrange your heroes. I think, for people who are kind of OCD and like their stuff in certain orders, I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff, like you always just have to, tip your hat. Like, improving the UI is functionally like not going to ever bring in revenue for Supercell. So anytime they do this kind of thing, it's purely for the player's benefit, and
Yeah.
you always got to just like that. That's great. It's great to see. I think these are good changes. I think the Supercell doing this kind of thing is the kind of thing that I want to see more of, making the game easier to interact with in the way that you want to interact with it is always going to be nothing but good in my book.
Yeah, I agree. Huge update. The Elixir cart storage in the builder base now accommodates larger attack rewards. What? What do you think? Probably one of the most critically needed changes. I mean, I personally am on builder base every day, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely not suddenly logging onto my builder base with 19 gems in the gem mine being like, oh. I think this is a good step in the right direction.
To deleting builder base, yeah.
So elsewhere, Supercell has talked about like the new player experience, and I think right now the worst thing for new players by miles is builder base requirements is for the 6th builder. Like, if they removed the builder base components from 6th builder and just like gave it to you at some point in Town Hall 12 or whatever, fine. Don't adjust builder base. Like, there are weirdos out there that like builder base how it is. You could just leave it and move on. We don't need to talk about builder base ever again. However,
end of story.
Right. For new players, they have to interact with it. And ever since they made the force quit strategy not work, it's a giant pain. Like a huge giant pain. Everyone is not having fun with this. It's honestly, if you're a new player and you're trying to unlock the 6th builder, I would think that this is going to be a bigger reason that people quit Clash than Town Hall 12. I don't see why we can't make bigger adjustments here. And maybe if they quadrupled the Elixir rewards in this patch, maybe that would be enough. But I don't think they're quadrupling it. I've just noticed the wordage of larger rewards and a bigger storage cart. But I don't know. To me, there's two things going on here. Number one, just get rid of the storage cart. Why? Why do we have a limit to how much elixir we can store in the? It's not fun for anybody. This is bad gameplay. It sucks. There's already elixir storage in the base. Put it there. What are we doing? This makes no sense.
Here's an idea. Instead of, so you could give people the option, right? For those who want to be free to play, they can do all the builder-based challenges and get their 6th builder that way. But there's an option. You could buy the 6th builder in the shop for $12.99 or whatever the price might be. It's like, take my money, please. Don't make me play builder base.
Honestly, that's like, it's both good and bad, right? Like, there's a place in gaming where I get very angry when progress in the game can be skipped by money, but we're already past that in Clash. So I'm kind of like, yeah, man, you either have to revamp this 6th builder process like from the jump, where I don't even know how to go about fixing it without just completely changing the entire experience, which I honestly, considering how few people like builder base, it's probably where you should start, Supercell. But yeah, just disconnect it. Just disconnect it. Make it a price, like whatever. Just new players are going to quit because of this builder. I've seen it. We will continue to see it. It's not good. It's not in a good state. Like, they need to do something sooner rather than later. So great. We made a step on the marathon of changes that are required.
Yeah, it is way too much of a grind. Like, I look at some of my lower accounts and that I've neglected builder base and don't care about the 6 builder so much. But I think if I take my accounts up eventually, I'm going to have to do this 6 builder grind, because upgrading to higher town halls without the 6 builder is just awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 16.67% reduction in your time to max, and that's just too big to ignore. And especially like, unlike Builder Apprentice and Goblin Builder, the only thing that it requires you to sacrifice is your sanity. There's no in-game resources that it's requiring you to sacrifice. Goblin Builder and Builder Apprentice are both, vacuuming in gems that could be going towards other things. See our previous episode about where to spend your gems. So it's like, those things are, they're not exactly like, you can do the math for, if you had a 7th builder, how much percent that would reduce your time to max. But 1, you don't always have the 7th builder because the Goblin Builder is not always in your village. 2, you don't have an infinite source of gems to actually fund him. And 3, like the Builder Apprentice, even at max, is only a 5% change. So that's significantly smaller than the 6th builder, which is 16.67. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we making it so hard for new players to catch up and to get into Max Town Hall, which is what Supercell has said is their goal? So, I don't know. I think it's a big, giant roadblock that needs to be adjusted. So, hooray, we've got a small one, but whatever.
All right. Another new feature that they're giving us is the cookbook. A 3rd tab will appear on the troop training screen. The Army Recipe Cookbook contains starter armies and featured armies that a player can use or save to their own recipes.
Yeah, so they removed this, and I've been annoyed the whole time. Like, when the instant training happened and you could save your armies in the little drop down menu, it's like, okay, whatever. It sucked. This is a return to how it kind of used to work. And I'm not necessarily angry that we're gonna have content creator armies showing up in this cookbook. That's kind of neither here nor there, whatever. But the fact that you can visualize and see the armies and see them in a list, that's how my brain works. I don't like a list of names. I don't remember what's on them. I end up having to switch through them constantly, which was annoying because it would mess with your CC troops and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, look, it's a good change. However, they should have just not removed it the first time. It seems odd to praise them for giving us tools that we used to have back. So I don't know. Sure, man. Hooray.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting that they said that the cookbook unlocks at Town Hall 4, but featured and creator armies will only be available to Town Hall 10 and above. So I guess Town Hall 4 and up will have little starter armies, but the creator armies and event type stuff will be available Town Hall 10 and up. So I don't know. I guess there's potential for good things, but I'll wait and see kind of a thing on my end.
Well, my advice for people that have an account that's between Town Hall 4 and Town Hall 10 is to just upgrade your Town Hall faster.
Just move up, get out of there.
Yeah. Realistically, if you follow my guide, it's like a matter of a couple days getting to Town Hall 10 at this point. Maybe I think it's 3 weeks is what it takes from fresh account to Town Hall 10, roughly. And it's I don't think that anybody. Okay, even if your intention is to max, I think you should view the game as starting at Town Hall 11. So if you want to max, just get to Town Hall 11 using my guide, and then max starting in Town Hall 11. Because all of the features start really clicking in Town Hall 11, in my opinion. It's where the defenses actually start to matter, sort of, kind of. It's where you have Warden, who unlocks all these cool other strategies. It's where you get super troops. And you won't have to deal with this nonsense when a new, quote unquote, new feature comes out and they're like, oh, well, sorry, Town Hall 8s, 9s, 7s, whatever. You guys don't get it. Like, whatever. Just
You don't matter. It's okay.
Yeah, ignore it. Just get to Town Hall 11 and move from there.
Exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree. It's these days the game really only becomes fun starting around Town Hall 11.
I mean, like,
Yep.
if it was me, I would basically just rush straight to Town Hall 13 because I want the Royal Champion ASAP. But I think like Super Troops make farming more fun in Town Hall 11.
Mhm.
There's like more interesting potential attacks that you can do. Like the Warden is amazing. So,
Oh,
you know,
I can still do Queen Charge Hybrid at 11 and I'm quite happy.
yeah, 100%.
All right, let's talk about sneak peek number 2. What's behind door
Ooh.
number 2? Well,
Is it a goat?
I don't know, more like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the Monty Hall problem, but just way worse.
It's like the you think you're getting the new car, but wait a minute.
Yeah. Do you want to switch? And then your mind breaks because the math is weird.
Exactly. We're getting something called crafted defenses.
Mhm.
For the first time ever, I'm using their words here, you get to choose how to upgrade a new temporary defense type. It's called the crafted defense. Crafted defenses are here to spark the curiosity and creativity of chiefs at the last town hall level. Take note of that.
Uh-huh.
Up to 3 crafted defenses are available to build through a crafting phase. So you can build an upgrade up to 3 of these temporary crafted defenses on the crafting station, which is available currently at Town Hall 17.
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 crafted defense can be active at any given time, but you can switch between them anytime. So you can only have one of them on your base at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Every 3 months, you're going to get 3 new crafted defenses.
Yikes.
So after 3 months, about 3 months, they say, these ones that they've given you will disappear and new crafted defenses will take their place. And each crafted defense has 3 upgradable modules. Choose the modules you'd like to upgrade and make a crafted defense that's truly your own.
Yikes.
So each module will start at level 1 and will have 9 levels, which means a total of 27 levels per crafted defense and 10 per module. This isn't too confusing for people.
Now, did you catch that each of the modules requires a different resource to upgrade?
I saw that. I had to read through all this a few times because there's a lot to absorb. And I know the content creators, did their best to explain it in their videos this morning.
Right.
Let's see. The first 3 crafted defenses are the Hook Tower, which reels in attackers and stuns them. It doesn't reel in siege machines, but it does stun them. So that is going to affect your blimp if people have that. The Flame Spinner delivers an endless whirlwind of the hot stuff, spins right around and emits flames to damage nearby attackers. And apparently this one is pretty lethal. The Crusher Mortar is the third one. It launches giant mortars to crush nearby foes. So depending on what you're being attacked with, you might want to flip between different defenses, but it's going to take a long time to upgrade these things. Yeah.
So, as it turns out, Supercell has heard me talk about equipment being a great execution, a great idea with poor execution, and they decided, you know what? Bet we're going to do it worse. It's so frustrating because the core of this idea is really neat. I think the idea of having, you reach the max town hall, like that bit is a little questionable, but fine. We have the permanently available only on the max town hall, that component. Let's just move past it. That's fine. But the component takes no time to drop, the crafting station. You just instantly drop it. Great. Then you pick one of these 3 defenses, and each of these 3 defenses is wildly different from one another. All of this so far is great. I'm fine with it. The rotating component of it, listen, if they have so many ideas for the crafting station that they think they're going to be able to have 12 different defenses available every year in this one building, my hat's off to them. I think that's a lot to ask in this environment where we already have so many defensive buildings. Plus, every new town hall is going to require their own signature defenses. And, as we've seen, not all of the signature defenses really hit quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
So fine. The fact that the upgrades go away is crazy to me. What do you mean they go away? This is like supercharged levels on steroids. Like, every component of this is worrying to me. Where, okay, let's back up just like a quick step. If they're available every 3 months, from what we've seen of the timers and resource requirements, number one, the resource requirements are astronomical for this one building. Like this building is going to represent every single time it gets new levels. It's going to represent like a giant chunk of your total time to upgrade that max town hall, which is bonkers for one building. That's already aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing that's like weird is that they require around 6 weeks to upgrade. So if you get access to it on day one, you only have 12 weeks of this defense, and you can only max them by the 6th week. So you only even have half the season where you're like, oh, cool, I have a multi-function variable defense that I can do. So for most of the season, maybe you're going to be lucky enough to have one. So what are we doing? And then it's going to all go away? I don't have the vocabulary to express how crazy this is to me. Like, this is wild. It makes no sense. I think Supercell needs to do... okay. Here's my solution to Supercell. Just make the upgrades way cheaper. Timing and value, or just make way fewer of them. I
don't understand why they're doing 3 at once. Like, why not launch it with 1 to test it out, to see or even 2, let people flip between the 2. But I 100% agree. It's going to be way too expensive and take way too long. For 3 months, like you say, half of that time is going to be, the defense is going to be relatively useless because it's not going to be max.
Right. And it's interesting to me that now you're going to be able to assign 3 builders to this thing to like upgrade the 3 different components. And to Supercell's credit, you can still use all of the things while they're upgrading. Great. But like, what? That's half your builders. What are you supposed to be doing with all of the normal town hall upgrades that are coming out as the town hall releases? Like, this to me is saying we are going to require you to have Gold Pass, because without Gold Pass, you have no chance of keeping up with the release cadence.
Yeah.
2, if you want to be competitive in the max, Legend League seasons, or at, Champ 1 CWL, you're going to need to spend money to keep these things upgraded so that you're always able to use whatever is the strongest thing in the meta. Because otherwise, if you don't, like, say, for example, this season comes out and the Crusher Mortar is garbage, the Flame Spinner is OP, and the Hook Tower is niche, but really, really strong at its niche. So, okay, we can ignore the Crusher Mortar for now. We'll upgrade the Flame Spinner first, and then we'll start to upgrade the Hook Tower. Well, 2 weeks into the season, Supercell decides, oh, well, you know what? The Crusher Mortar's not performing how we wanted it to. We're going to give it a 20% damage buff. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, okay, now I got to start upgrading the Crusher. And then it's like, well, what are your other builders doing? Like, where are they going? Like, we're lucky that it's 6 months into the town hall release that this is coming out. But like, I haven't even finished all my supercharged levels. And admittedly, I am not spending all of the resources that I could, like I'm saving CWL medals. I'm not using builder potions. I'm not like obsessing about making sure all of my builders are instantly put down the moment they come free. Like I'm having like a jog through the marathon of Town Hall 17 rather than sprinting. But I feel like that's also fairly representative of the average player who's not going to be instantly maxing on day one of every update release. And then it's like, well, they're never going to be maxed ever at all because this defense is going to eat 3 of your builders. Like, unless Supercell is going to be like, oh, and by the way, we're also going to unlock 3 more free builders for you. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, like for my main account, I'm almost through all the supercharges. My storages are full, so I'm ready to spend a little bit of loot on stuff.
Mhm.
But on my other 17, I haven't finished walls. I'm like you. I'm kind of taking the slow and easy route on that one,
Mhm.
spreading things out. I don't really care that much about getting the supercharges done. I'm just kind of having a good time with that account. So I'm not even sure if I'll focus on these defenses on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the unfortunate reality is that most people are going to probably max one of these 3 components and then just call that good enough.
Mhm.
And look, sure, fine, we got a rotating defense every 3 months. That's interesting, but it's like, again, the idea here is great. I love the idea. I love the idea that every base has the potential to be built differently to accommodate the strengths of these rotating defenses. All of that stuff is fantastic. I think adding more options for base builders is great. Changing up the meta is great. Having to be better at base ID, like we were just talking about before, how it used to be such a big component of the game and it isn't really anymore. All of that stuff is great. I just think the actual implementation and execution of this idea is awful and needs massive amounts of adjustment to make it workable. Because what's the point? If it's the same sort of thing that I've kind of been struggling with my guide about like which heroes to recommend and how to recommend people upgrade them and whatever, where it's like, what do you do with the 5th hero, right?
Mhm.
Because like every single day that you devote a builder to the 5th builder, to the 5th hero, is not actually making your base or your offense stronger. It's just this nebulous versatility and future proofing that you're doing, basically. So it's like, if I'm a new player and I've listened to my guide and I'm at Tunnel 17 and I've gotten my 4 heroes maxed, now I have this really weird decision point to make where it's like, upgrading my defenses at this point could potentially earn me a higher CWL roster. But if 2 months from now, this 5th hero who I've neglected is suddenly meta, now I'm screwed and I can't really use him without using hero potions. So like, I've always kind of been erring on the side of like, well, you should just keep upgrading your heroes because it makes the most sense. You eventually don't want to be reliant on hero potions, and the defensive upgrades at that point are fairly minimal. But like with this,
Mhm.
how do I recommend anyone put any time into something that's going to disappear?
Oh,
And like,
exactly.
it's just, I don't know. And if everybody's essentially either ignoring this because they have too many regular upgrades to do still, or just upgrading it once, well, then what's the point? Why do we have all these other options? Like, if you can't use all of your options, do you actually have them? Right? It's like you go to McDonald's and you're like, I want a flurry, and they're like, the flurry machine's broken. It's like, well, is it actually, like, just because it's on the menu doesn't mean I can get it? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
just, I just, this whole
Yeah.
idea has me heated, as you could probably tell. Like, it's just,
It's I just don't think it's really well thought through. You
mhm,
know, if as a person who's going to be looking at which one to upgrade, right?
mhm,
You kind of, at this point, no one's used any of them before, so you're kind of taking a stab in the dark, like you say, as to which one to upgrade first and to focus on with your
mhm,
resources. You're going to put that on your base, and then you might go, well, I need a new base, and you might go to one of the various base building sites or whatever and say, well, I want that base, but oh, that base requires defense A, and I've only upgraded defense C, so I can't really use that base, even though I've heard this base is really, really strong. I
mhm.
think it's just.
I don't like the idea. Like, here was my thought.
Mm,
My thought was, I had two immediate ideas that I think would have worked as better implementations. Number one is you could designate one of these three as your main component and get a massive discount on upgrading that one. So say, for example, I was like, all right, I think the flame spinner is going to be really great. I'm going to select that as my main component. That's going to be the default. And like, so if I drop this in a new war, in a new base building thing, right? It's going to default to this. And for doing so, I get a massive, 75 or 90% discount on the cost and time. So I can very quickly get it maxed for the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other two options would be the expensive ones, where it's like, if you want to branch out from this main component, you have the option to start upgrading these other components. And this way, at least, I have this base defense available for the whole 3 months of the season. And if I choose, like if I'm a new player and I still have a ton of stuff to do in Town Hall 17, I can always just be like, you know what, I'm not going to upgrade those other ones. I've done this one thing. By the time the 3-month season is over, maybe next season I'll engage with this mechanic a little more and upgrade a second one. But for now, I've got the one cheap one and fine. The other thing that I was thinking is that you could upgrade. So we have these 3 modules, right? And each one has a hit point module, a DPS module, and like a utility-esque module, sort of. Imagine you just had slot 1, slot 2, slot 3 on this defense, and you could continually upgrade those slots. And then when you switch so let's say you upgraded the hit point module on the hook tower to level 5. When you switch to the flame spinner, you would have a level 5 slot to assign to the flame spinner. So you could say, all right, well, the flame spinner, I want to put a level 5 on the damage, right? And then this way, it's like you're upgrading components to slot into the defenses. Or even simpler than that, just say, okay, there's slot 1 and every defense slot 1 is hit points. There's slot 2, every defense slot 2 is damage. And slot 3, every defense has a little different. It's the utility slot. And as you upgrade those slots, it maintains its level through the different defenses. At least this way, it's like, if I do devote the time and resources to this building, I'm rewarded by getting additional options of these things. And then you could balance it so that it's like, hey, maybe it only takes like 4 weeks with nothing, and with Gold Pass, that makes it more like 3 weeks. And if you use a magic item on the last level or 2 or whatever, maybe you can get it down to like 2 weeks. And like that's, the 14-day upgrade that we're talking about for all of the other buildings that exist in the Max Town Hall level, rather than 6 weeks to get this whole thing done and hundreds of thousands of resources and millions of dark elixir. Like, this thing is just, I don't know. The numbers are
it's
just
cumbersome and complicated. At first glance, it seems complex. I think about, people who are involved in various esports tournaments. They're going to have to pay to get this done, to have these things available. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's just like crazy to me. Like, I've heard it's something like 200 million golden elixir and 2 million dark elixir to upgrade this thing to max. Like, that's
for each one.
I don't know if it's for each one or not. I think that's total.
Okay.
If it's for each one, I'm flying to Supercell headquarters and just yelling with a sign on the outside. Like, that would be the dumbest thing. Hopefully. Like, if it was actually 600 million golden elixir and 6 million dark elixir, that's more than like many people have farmed like their whole, like, I don't know, that would be nuts.
Yeah, let's just like, no, it can't, okay. It has to be for all. Okay.
Right. I mean, all of Town Hall. Okay, well, all but the buildings. Like, usually a Town Hall has like 600 million elixir in the whole thing when it first comes out. That's like usually the number that it lands at. So to put that into context, like this is a third of all of your elixir spends, other than walls, for an entire town hall into this one building. And then it goes away after 3 months. So you have to do it potentially 4 times in a town hall release. Like that's crazy. That's
exactly. Well, and I think, okay, so they've given it to us now. So then we'd see another one in late September, and then that'll be the last one before 18 drops. Well, for the last 3 months, people want to start stockpiling their resources. I don't want to be sinking loot into temporary defenses.
Right. Also, side note, they delete the crafting station when the new Town Hall releases. So if you don't book your Town Hall 18 upgrade, you either have to use a new base or just have a hole in your base. Like, why? Just make it a blank crafting station. Just leave it in the base. What do you mean we have to drop it again? The implementation of this is weird.
So yeah, Town Hall 17, you won't have that once Town Hall 18 drops.
So all those bases that you spent time developing and using are immediately invalidated. Like,
exactly. My mind keeps getting more blown and blown.
You know what they should do? They should the Town Hall 17 crafting station should just immediately revert to one of the available defenses from the previous season, and then that's it. That's what exists in Town Hall 17 from that point on. And then Town Hall 18 releases, and from Town Hall 18, as soon as you switch to one of the new defenses or whatever, you're no longer able to go back to the Town Hall 17 one. Like, that took me 2 seconds to come up with that idea, and it's already better than the implementation that Supercell has. I'm not saying that they have to use that, but some thought for the players. And like, what do you mean? Like, this is going to even further my argument that there is no such thing as a maxing experience outside of the current Max Town Hall. Because now think about it. We active players that have been playing Town Hall 17 from, release in December to today in June, we are the only players in history who will experience this Town Hall 16 with no crafting station defense, right? And then in the next 3 months, we'll be the only players in history to experience Town Hall 17 with the hook tower, the mortar, and the flame spinner. And then from September to December, only the players that are active from that period of time will experience that Town Hall 17. And then from that moment on, people are going to go back to a weird version of non-supercharged Town Hall 17 that nobody has ever experienced before. And just none of that, like, what? It's just like, every time I've made suggestions about, adding hard mode to matchmaking in regular wars or adding hard mode to Legends League, people have these like arguments of like, oh, well, that would fracture the player base and it would make the player experience too well, what about this? What do you mean? Like, this is
it's like crazy. They're deliberately trying to break the game and I don't know, just kind of turn people off playing. This doesn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah, I think the implementation here is going. I mean, I don't hope that the player base falls off a cliff because I do enjoy the game. I don't want it to die, but I think without something massive happening, I think Supercell is just going to keep chugging along, thinking that they cooked with this one. But man, check the oven, man. This is a burnt upgrade. Like, this is bad. This is inedible. Like, nobody wants this. This is like back to the drawing board. Like, what? This is awful. I don't like it. I'm not pleased with this one.
Well, and I think it's just showing a disconnect between their player base and their development team.
Yeah, it's just functionally the idea is great. Like, whoever came up with the idea of the crafting station and the different defenses, awesome. You did a great job. Like, that's awesome. As soon as the accountants got involved and they were like, make it take 6 weeks. Like, no, this is bad.
Think how much money we can make.
Right. And not only that, it's like they heard me saying there's nothing you could do to make rushing worse, and they were like, all right.
Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Let me cook for a minute. And it's like, The magic item value on this thing is awful. The the functionality of this thing is awful. Like oh man, it's got me heated because it's like, okay, I watched Judo's video on this this morning, and he says that he's given feedback to the Supercell team that between this and supercharge levels, like that's enough temporary things. Personally, I think this is too far. I would be okay with the seasonal element if this was very inexpensive to upgrade, or like I said, you could have one inexpensive upgrade and two optional, more expensive ones. Like, okay, fine. We're still in the ballpark of this is acceptable, but the way it exists right now, bad. I hope Reddit lights on fire for this one. Like, this is, I just can't. This
I'm
is
sure
bad
it's burning up even as we speak.
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's move along here. Let's see. There's some minor balance changes they talked about and some tweaks to Supercell ID information, and I'm not going to go into that. People can read about that on the Clash Reddit and the patch notes. Let's see. We wanted to talk a little bit about CWL medals.
I think we could probably punt that. I didn't expect that this update was going to be like, okay, full disclosure, Kat and I were originally going to upgrade. We were originally going to record this episode after the first sneak peek. We thought like there was so much stuff there that we could talk about, and we heard rumors of this new defense dropping, and we were like, all right, let's wait. Let's record after the news has dropped, so we're not just like speculating. I thought we were just gonna. I had this whole thing prepared. I was thinking all night where I was like, how weird is it that they're gonna drop a new defense so late? They've never done it. I was like, oh, this is like interesting information and things, and then they dropped this update, and I'm like, what? I like just can't. I can't handle it. So I think we could come back to some of these other discussions.
This, Okay, let's jump into a couple of questions from the audience that we had. Shiwa, and I apologize if I pronounce that name wrong, asked, if you could change or create a piece of equipment of your choice, what would it be and what would it do?
I mean, my immediate troll answer to this is I would change the Eternal Tome to work the way it does currently. No, I would love to see an adjustment done to the fireball to make it a little easier to predict where it's going to land. Because I really like the fireball attacks, and I like, technically my brain knows the rules for where to put the invisibility spells to get it to target what you want. But I would love there to be some kind of UI element, like a targeting reticle or a red highlight or something to say where the fireball would land. Because I do think that equipment is really fun to use, and I would like to see more people use it. I think many people are like me, where it's like you're afraid to launch the fireball and it goes into like the corner of the base and destroys a single archer tower, and you're like, oh. So that's like how I would change it, because I mostly think the equipment we have in the game is mostly good, aside from like barbarian puppet, archer puppet, lavalin puppet, which like whatever. The fireball to me is like, I would like to use it more, and the thing that would make me use it more is if there was some element to make it easier to predict where it would go.
Yeah.
What about you?
Very, very similar for me. The giant arrow for the Archer Queen. I don't use it because I have so much trouble aiming. I'd like to see some kind of an aiming mechanism, so it would give you a better idea where she's targeting. Because if you're not paying really close attention which way she's facing, I just killed a bunch of trees,
Right. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why last month in CWL I did not do as well is because I missed a couple key arrows. And it's like, at this point, I've done hundreds of attacks using the giant arrow, and I still am not 100%. I'm at like 95%. Like it's rare now that I'm missing it, but it still happens, which like, that's kind of ridiculous, which is partially my own fault, right? Like, I know how to do it correctly because you just measure the pixels, basically, right? You draw a straight line from the target that you want to the building that you're going to attack and find the angle that works and whatever. But Yeah, 100% there should be some sort of indicator on where she's facing. Like even if it was just like a little arrow at her feet that like if you zoomed in on, you could see easy and
Yeah.
only existed while you still had the arrows. Like once you shot it, it was gone. Like something. I think that's a good
Something
one.
simple, for sure.
Yeah.
And Mr. TD asks, are there any content creators we would specifically recommend to watch to learn attacking in Clash of Clans?
I have my two go-tos, and I'll give them right up front. Carbon Finn and Itsu are the two that I watch when I want to learn how to do an attack. But I think more importantly than that is that you find a content creator who explains the attack in a way that works for you. Because like I always make jokes at Sir Moose's expense. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, and I don't want to disparage anyone else, but like I've never gotten one of Sir Moose's attacks to work, and that's probably a failing on my part, to be fair. It's just the way he explains it, the way he shows it, and the way he executes it does not work for me. Now, it might work for somebody else. And so I'm not trying to say that Itsu and Carbon Finn are going to work for everyone, but they explain the attacks in a way that works for my brain. And when they show the examples and I try to duplicate the results in their examples, I get what they say. And I am able to use that for my own practice and make the attacks that I'm doing better. So like I would say try a bunch, and if you want my recommendation, like I said, Carbon Finn and Itsu, try their attacks. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that they are wrong necessarily. What it means is you need somebody who's going to explain it in a different way. What about you, Kat? Who do you
100%
use?
agree. I normally go to Itsu.
Mm-hmm.
I find that he explains things, like you say, in a way that I understand. He walks you through like why he's coming in from a certain direction, helping to sort of tweak you to how to read the base. I really like that. I've watched some of Aki Gaming. He's usually up on a bunch of different new style attacks. So I'll check his out. Don't always understand what he's telling you to do, but those are the two main ones that I go to. Carbon Finn, of course, is always good.
Yeah, I always like how Carbon often, not necessarily always, but often will take a base and he will like draw sections onto it and explain like, here's what you have to look out for. Here's why I'm coming in this direction. Like I like the type of, pre-attack base ID component of these content creators.
Yes.
And I've watched Aki as well. I do like him. I think he's probably my favorite in terms of showing the examples, but he doesn't do that kind of like pre-game breakdown that Carbon does. So I find that I like keep going back to Carbon. But one of the other things I would say is the more attacks that you can watch, especially of the same kind of attack. Like I like watching all of these different content creators do dragon attacks because they all do them a little differently, like slight little variations, different approaches, different entries. And like that is going to round your knowledge as an attacker out such that, when we were talking earlier, I'm at this point in Town Hall 17 very proficient with this single style of attack, which sadly going to have to make some sort of adjustments to account for the Eternal Tome change. But the way you do that is by watching other people and doing friendly challenges and all that. But I would say you should never really just watch a single content creator, because even Itsu, who I love, like he's not going to be enough to give you a well-rounded understanding of the attack. And Itsu isn't going to put out like 30 different videos with 5 attacks each of all of the different ways that you can attack with dragons. He's going to give you a couple, which is good. But then you go to another content creator and see another couple dragon attacks. And then you go to another and so on and so forth until now you've seen 30 or 40 examples of all of these different types of bases and attacks. And now you are probably well equipped for doing it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. All right. I guess this falls under T's corner. Sheila wants to know, how long did it take to write the guide and to do all the math calculations for it? And how long does it take for you to do revisions, such as with the new defense stuff that's going to drop?
Oh man, all this time that I was ranting, I didn't even realize that I'm gonna have to put a section about this defense in the guide.
Sorry.
Oh man. Okay. So I started writing the guide. I think the original guide was published in 2021, and I have talked about this before, but there was a creator named Clash with Dusk who was a bit infamous on the forums and Reddit for being brash and aggressive about rushing. And to be fair, I don't necessarily blame him because maxers at the time were pretty mean, but he retired in the Town Hall 13 timeframe. I can't remember if he made it to max Town Hall 13 or if he quit shortly before or whatever. So there wasn't really a guide that existed anymore because his guide was much more prescriptive. Like he would say, you get to Town Hall 10 and this is what Builder 1 goes on and this is what Builder 2 goes on and blah, blah, blah. And he would like give you step by steps. And I realized, well, one, that the first guide tried to do that as well and tried to be like, all right, well, if he's not going to play anymore, Town Hall 14's coming up and like nobody's going to be the rush advocate. So I think that's going to be me. And that first guide I wrote was like 100 pages, which took about a week to do. And I edited that one down to around 30 with the help of someone from EYG named Ginny. Shout out to Ginny. She's great. I only had to do a minor amount of editing to get rid of all of the U's in my colors and other British and UK idiosyncrasies with language. So that one was like the initial implementation. And then every time Supercell would come out with stuff, I would have to keep rewriting every town hall section to account for the new changes, for the time reductions, for new troops. So eventually I got tired of having my Reddit account basically be unusable, filled with DMs of people saying, T, will you look at my base? Should I upgrade? Like, am I doing it right? Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, version 1.0 of the guide or 1. What did I call it? 1.1, I think I called it, was I'm going to delete all of those components of the guide that are prescriptive, that tell you what to do, and I'm just going to try to give you the logic. And that one didn't work so great because I ended up doing the same thing again. And I find myself always trying to explain my reasoning for people because I don't want people confused and I don't want people DMing me, which is a theme that we're seeing here. And it was like, I think it accomplished something. I did see a reduction in DMs, like my Reddit account became usable again. I wasn't getting pinged constantly in Discord as much. So that was like, okay. And that one took probably about a month of revisions to get it to where I wanted it to be. And then Supercell released equipment. It's like, oh no. And like, that was like, I had to really change how everything worked because when equipment came out, they also changed how hero potions worked. So suddenly, instead of getting just +5 levels and then being like this nice little, you might as well use them when you're doing attacks, but whatever, to like, oh, you can kind of make an entire strategy based around using your hero potions, which, a topic for another another episode maybe. But that's when I had to really do a whole complete rewrite from mostly scratch. And so that one took a while. I was basically working on that from when Town Hall 16 released to when the Rush Guide 1.5 released, which was this March. And it just so happened that every time I was like, okay, I think I'm in a good enough space, Supercell would come out with something else that was nuts, like new equipment or the events or, it just kept coming back. And I was like, oh no. And so a lot of the time was spent just like kind of thinking and like wondering because they've introduced these questions like I talked about before, like the 5th hero. Like, what do you do with that? Like, do I not upgrade my heroes anymore and just use hero potions? And all these big questions that I had to grasp with. So the one that took me the longest time was the current iteration of the Rush Guide, which is the Rush Bible 1.5. And it's just... Supercell always has this like habit of like changing the paradigms enough that I'm going to get bombarded with questions if I don't put it in the guide, but not enough that it actually changes any of the advice. And so I'm always in this little push and pull of like, well, I should technically change it and put it in, but also it doesn't change any of the actual mechanics of rushing. So I don't know. We'll see. I gotta put a new section in this weekend, and now I'm upset.
Oh, yes. Progress, right? All right, last question, and then we'll jump into some other stuff. Is Clash of Clans running out of space? Each town hall adds more stuff. And how many buildings do you think they can merge? I think that they are struggling. They can't expand it. They've said that a number of times. So they're looking at creative ways to add stuff to the current format that they have, such as temporary defenses.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think they're starting to struggle with what they're able to do. They're trying to be creative, but it's kind of falling a little bit flat. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we probably have another good town hall. Like I think Town Hall 18, there's enough space where you could probably do something like merge wizard towers, which is like a defense right now that's kind of irrelevant. You could probably also merge bomb towers, probably merge expos. Like we have a lot of buildings that are kind of suffering from Supercell's punting of this decision down to the future, and like now we're in the future where it's like, okay, do we really need this many expos? Is that adding anything valuable to the game? Do we really need this many wizard towers? And it's like, probably not. But like you said, it's difficult. Like they're trying, and I think Town Hall 18 is going to be interesting to see what they actually implement. I think Wizard Towers is like the no-brainer. Like we should definitely only have like 3 of those instead of 5. But I don't know. Like the treadmill of content may eventually have to stop. I would be very sad to see it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's definitely a possibility,
right? Like unless they implement something where the town hall, like as you upgrade your town hall, the base area gets bigger. I have a hard time thinking like what can we do? Like the framing of the current tile layout plus a 3-minute attack with no scaling throughout all of the town halls, like that's a really difficult puzzle to solve. And so far, Supercell's roughly solved it, but how much longer can they keep doing it? And I don't know. I think we've struggled for a long time with the idea that these top town hall defense levels are only getting, 4% DPS increase and 8% hit points. And we constantly laugh and see this stuff on YouTube where someone that's like way under the max town hall is able to triple the max town hall because realistically, yes, their troops are underpowered for doing that attack, but the defenses aren't that much stronger. So I don't know. I think one of the things that I would suggest is that we stop having these really terrible value defenses in the top level, such that each defense, like you do need max troops in order to triple at the max level. Like that's one part because that makes the progression feel better, even if the timers are long. But the space issue is tough,
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the top 5 things that we'd like to see in Town Hall 18, since we're rambling about Town Hall 18. What's your number 5?
So a lot of people in the CFF server are starting to bump up into this. Is that the Minion Prince has 30 upgrades at 8-day level, and that's more than any other hero. It's more than the Archer Queen, who has 20. It's more than double of the Barbarian King and the Warden. It's triple the Royal Champion. So to me, I think they need to do a rebalancing of how many 8-day upgrades all of the heroes have. I think they should reduce them significantly. And especially the Minion Prince. He's got to get a reduction. Those 38-day upgrades are crazy. So that's a little bit of a rebalancing on the number of 8-day upgrades for heroes is in order, I think. What about you?
My number 5 is I'd like to see a new level on spells like Heal and Rage.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we've seen some of that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's your number 4?
So I would like, with this glut of equipment that we have nowadays, I think we're up to 31 pieces of equipment, 11 of which are epic. I want to see them rebalance the equipment levels in terms of their ore costs. I think a blanket reduction is 100% required. And I would also like to see a rebalancing of the like income requirements for each upgrade in the ore amounts, right? So what I mean by that is, like, in an epic equipment right now, level 1 through 20, you need more purple ore income in days than you need orange. However, in the level 21 through 27, you need way more orange than you need purple. So these little imbalance points make it very complicated for a new player to max out their equipment without overflowing at some point or another, which is like the worst feeling in the world because you can never really recover from that. So a redistribution of the costs in these equipment, I think, is gotta happen in Town Hall 18, or ideally before, but for Town Hall 18.
Throughout the game for sure. Yeah, my number 4 is rebalancing the ore economy. More ways to get starry ore, because you're sitting at needing, say, 150 starry to max out your various puppet. And then you there's no way to get it, even if you buy the event pass. You're still like short on the starry. So yeah, definitely need more ways to get it. What's your number 3?
So this is we touched on it a little bit before, but for Town Hall 18, I'd love to see merged wizard towers. I used to love how effective upgrading the wizard towers were for stopping attacks, because they used to stop hogs, they used to stop miners, they used to stop balloons. Like, they were such a critical component and an undervalued and underlooked component, because nobody was like looking at your wizard towers thinking, oh, this is going to be a hard base to Lalo. And I used to abuse that when I was strategic rushing, because my wizard towers were way more upgraded than, archer towers and cannons and mortars. So people would look at my base and be like, oh, look at these trash defenses. They're going to be so easy. And then my wizard towers would like demolish them. So like in 2025, I don't think I've ever seen a wizard tower do anything to stop an attack at this point. So for me, I want to see like the rise of the wizard tower. It's like such a unique tower as well. I mean, there's the archers and the archer tower, but I just like the idea of this like big pinnacle type defense with a wizard standing on top of it, and he's the one that's stopping your attack. Like, I don't know. I just think it's neat. So I think,
plus he's got great hair. So
yeah, exactly. And like the color of the wizard tower has always been great. The art for it. I want to see, if not merged wizard towers, I want to see like a 30% increase in their health and damage.
Okay.
What about you?
My number 3 is, I think that it's about time that they just make Town Halls 1 through 8 a tutorial. Players could go through those in a day or so, and then really start playing the game at Town Hall 9. Maybe start off with level 10 heroes and just jump right into it. Like, why make people take 2 or 3 weeks to go through those now?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I think those initial levels are a trap for people anyways, because they start to see, like, I mean, we see it on the CFF server where people come in and they're like, am I rushing too quickly? Am I not rushing fast enough? And it's like, you're in like the baby steps of the game. Like, I hadn't thought of that, and 100% you're right. Like, they should just make it a tutorial. It should take, maybe it does take a week to get through them all, but it should basically guide them through the upgrades, matchmaking, all those things, that just get them through it. Like, it should be basically free to do.
Basic funneling techniques, and just like, here, go at it.
Yeah. So my second one, I would like to see an actually impactful signature defense. And I say this because we've gotten this weird cadence. So Town Hall 13 came out with scatter shots, and those were huge. Like, that was meta warping, and everybody had to adjust. And like, those in Town Hall 13, when it was max, like, if you didn't account for the scatter shots, like, you lost your attack. Like, there was just no recovering. Then Town Hall 14 came out, and there were the builder huts, which was, like, in my opinion, just a big miss. Like, sure, there were 2% of attacks that got stopped because a builder hut repaired a building too much, and it had it lived when it shouldn't have, or whatever. Worthless. They're terrible defenses. I think they suck, and they were so sad. And then Town Hall 15 came out, and we got the monolith and the spell towers, and that was maybe a little too impactful. Like, that, like, we still haven't gotten a level of the spell towers since. So like, you can tell that was a very powerful set of defenses. Now I'm like blanking on even what came out with Town Hall 16 signature defenses because like it was the merge defenses,
I think so.
right?
Yeah, it was.
Did we have a real signature?
I don't think so. I
Right?
think everything was overshadowed by how OP Root Riders and Valks were.
Yeah, it didn't even matter. Like maybe I'm wrong. I honestly can't remember because like you said, I was too busy demolishing everything with Root Riders.
It
So
didn't matter. It
it
was
didn't
like,
matter. And then Town Hall 17, we've gotten the merged tower, which is okay. I thought it was going to be a little more impactful than it ended up being. Like I know that in my attacks, I really don't even pay attention to where it is. And we got the flame spitters, which, like, to be fair, if you're not paying attention to them and the defender has both of them facing in the same direction and you don't have freezes and you don't get them in your Yeti blimp, I have seen them do some work. But the fact that they only target such like a narrow like cone is I like they should at least target everything in front of them. You know, even if it's not going to be a 360-degree defense, just make the cone bigger because right now I don't think it's that impactful. You know, like you just oftentimes you're only dealing with one of them, which is kind of sad, or you're dealing with none of them because you just go in from behind them. And it's like that seems, I don't know, like why? We had that with the sweeper. Like garbage. So for Town Hall 18, I want to see something that actually warps how we attack, that gives a big tool to base builders and makes it so that if you don't pay attention to it, you don't triple. That is my vote.
All right, T has spoken.
What about you?
My number
What's your number
two.
two?
My number two is kind of lame by comparison, but I would still like the ability to edit clan nails. I'll keep asking for it till they give it to me.
That's fair. Yeah. In general, I think that could be expanded to like just give clan leaders and co-leaders a little more, like a couple more tools. Like imagine we could like, I don't even know, like just give us more communication tools. Like the game is so much more fun when people are playing and you can talk to them and everything. But like we're all on different time zones, so something would be nice, you know?
Yeah. What's your number one?
All right, my number one. I've been harping about this literally since I started playing. I would really like them to rebalance the matchmaking loot economy. And what I mean by that is I think we need to adjust this idea that finding a base with a lot of loot is like a lottery, happy time, rare feeling. And it should just be more consistently available. And especially in Town Hall 18 when we're going to lose all of our supercharge levels for all of Town Hall 17, which is going to be feel bad. We're going to lose our, our crafting station defense now, which is going to also be a feel bad. Give the player something good. And here's the thing. Now that we have the instant troop training, and we have these, what they call them, like clone bases or whatever, like the, where you're attacking someone's base, but it's not actually their base. Just give us more loot. Make the floor for loot that's available much higher, even if you scale it based on Town Hall. But make it so that like I don't ever want to see a base that's got like 75,000 elixir on it and 100,000 gold on it. Don't show me that in matchmaking. I don't want to see it. Like it's dumb. Like make the farming component fun and engaging, and make it so if I have 20 minutes to play, I can actually do 6 or 7 attacks and get all of the loot that I need. And then it's like, then I would feel less angry about the fact that we need 200 million gold and elixir to max the crafting station,
I feel like T is angry today.
I'm a little heated. What about you? What's your number one?
My number one is give us the ability to use heroes in war while they're upgrading. So nobody ever has to sit out of war or go into war attacks with heroes down and feel like they're not able to contribute. Just like do away with that already.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to, like, we're not privy to the numbers in Supercell, so I would really be curious to know in 2025, like, how much of their revenue is really coming from Book of Heroes. Like, come on, just like
Gotta be minuscule.
Right? Like, come on, there's gold pass, there's event pass, there's ore, there's sceneries, skins. Like, what? Come on. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here?
The benefits far outweigh the
Yeah, I think so. And plus,
negatives.
it's like every single player in Clash at some point has to come to grips with the fact that they're going to not be able to use their heroes for between 250 and 400 days continuously.
Mhm.
And that's crazy. Like, because heroes are the fun part of the game. Heroes are what make people play Clash of Clans more than just through Town Hall 8 or whatever. Like, heroes are what hook you. That's the thing that will keep you playing. And like being confronted with the idea of not only do I have to do all of these upgrades and do all of the farming and that, I'm also not able to like. Okay, you got me heated again.
Sorry. Okay.
All
All right,
that's
that's
fine.
another episode.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll say is like I always recommend people keep their Archer Queen sleeping 24/7 as their first hero to get into the 8-day upgrades. And it's like, okay, so I'm recommending people spend 150 days upgrading their Archer Queen before they get to use her once. Like Supercell. That's like the fast way to do it. The other ways are worse. The other ways are longer. So like Supercell, like I'm trying to get people to not quit your game. Like help me out here. Like let's make this a little easier.
All right. Well, you know what? We are just under 2 hours.
Nice. We did it.
Let's jump into some shout outs. What do you got for shout outs, T?
I just have to shout out Darth Yoda as the MVP of Sons of Guns. We're just going to continue strong and doing great work. I also wanted to shout out. I think I got to shout out D-Limbs here. So if you're in the Clash of Clans, if you're in the CFF server, there's a gentleman. His Discord name is DLIMMS. And he has come up with essentially a step-by-step guide, the thing that I said that I hated doing and didn't want to do anymore and got way too many DMs and messages and pings about. He actually took the logic that's in my guide. He made a Google document that kind of shows you, if you want those prescriptive things, it shows you step-by-step every town hall, what you need to do, roughly how long it takes, free to play, and with like estimates on timing and all that. So it's great work. I don't necessarily, it's not like T-stamped, this is the way to do it. It is a way to get to a maxed Town Hall 17. And it took him a bit. He's there. Please don't ping him and harass him. Like he is like me. We are volunteers giving you this information for free. We're not paid by Supercell. We don't have creator codes. We're not, we don't have a YouTube channel. So like, be aware, but his guide is great. I think he pretty much finished all the finishing touches in like the last month or two. So like it's pretty close to constantly up to date. So I just wanted to shout him out because man, I don't like doing it and I don't want the DM. So please be nice to him. Don't abuse this the privilege. It's pinned in the CFF server, so use it if it helps you.
Awesome.
What about you, Kat? What do you got?
Well, I got to shout you out for being the MVP for SOG. I mean,
of course,
top of my list. Congrats on that. And I'm also going to shout out Hawkeye and Kronk from the Rated. Mm-hmm. They've been working hard on a little esports venture that RedThorn's put together. We call it RedThorn Rising. And they're just having fun trying to introduce some of our players into the whole world of esports on a pretty casual basis. And so far, they've got people hooked. They've been doing scrims with the big guys over in the CFF esports and having a lot of fun every Friday doing that.
Nice.
And if anybody's interested in the RedThorn group, particularly RedThorn, the Rated Shiny Gemeralds, if you're interested in dipping your toes into the esports scene, go ahead and ping Hawkeye or Kronk over there and let them know. And that's it for me.
Nice.
The CFF is a family of clans who love to play various games such as Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and others. You can send questions or comments to us on Twitter at RedThornCOC. To get more information on our clans, events, and podcasts, join the CFF Discord at discord.gg/clashfiles.
Dear Clash Gods, I confess, My emotions have been a mess, 'cause you changed everything we ever knew. From witches to poison, and the queen walked too. Whoa, I've been wrong, I was wrong. Been at town all night, way too long. Getting hogs and Valkyries. I pushed that button and